Good afternoon, everybody. Today is Wednesday. It's a beautiful day outside where we are here in Central Florida. If it's not a pretty day and the sun's not shining where you are, just know that the sun is shining above the clouds, okay? It is shining up above the clouds, even if it's not sunny where you are. And I'm just here to help you guys just do some fun stuff with your kids. We're going to talk about science again. Today's marine science again. And we are going to continue to do some things that are informative and fun, and maybe make some crafts and things as well for the younger ones to do, and even the older ones. I enjoy doing the crafts too. And so I see some of you guys are jumping on. We're going to go ahead and start today. We're going to talk about bioluminescence. Now, I could probably talk for weeks on marine science stuff because I love talking about marine biology. That's what I did before I had kids, and there's just so many fascinating, amazing critters that live in the oceans, and we're even discovering more and more every day. If you ever go onto, I need to find the link of the website, but there's a submersible, deep sea submersible that goes off the coast of California and into some of those deep trenches, and they find new organisms almost every dive that they go, that they take. You can actually hear live what's going on as the camera's exploring down under the water, and now you can hear the marine biologists and the scientists talking about what they're seeing. So it's really a fun thing to do. I'll see if I can put a link in the comments of this video so you guys can see that as well. But again, we're talking about bioluminescence. And so first I want to talk about what bioluminescence is, and then we'll talk about how organisms use it. If you're familiar with fireflies are terrestrial or land organisms that bioluminesce. Bio is a prefix meaning life, and luminescence has to do with creating light. And so these are living organisms that have a method to create light. And lots of organisms do it in the ocean, particularly those in the deep ocean. Now first I want to talk about how they do it. Those that create light either do it themselves or they have organisms living in them that do it. There are some that are in a symbiotic teamwork kind of relationship with tiny organisms called dinoflagellates or other planktonic organisms, and those guys can bioluminesce. So when they glow, then the organism they're living in glows. And we'll talk about that again later on on a different day. But I want to talk about what bioluminescence is, and you can kind of get an idea when you use a glow stick. If you've ever played with a glow stick before, a glow stick actually contains two different chemicals in them. And so if you were to take a glow stick that has not been broken yet and glowing, and you move it up and down, you will notice there's a glass vial inside of this plastic container, and that glass vial contains one chemical, and then there's another chemical on the outside of the glass vial. When you break it and shake it, you're mixing those chemicals together, and you're creating a chemical reaction that excites the electrons, which are tiny subatomic particles in an atom, and those electrons get super excited, and then when they lose their excitement, they release energy in the form of light, and that creates glowing. And so we're going to try, this is an old one, so I'm hoping this one works. I'm using what I have, and I have these from last year, so there we go. Yeah, it works. Look at that. I shake it up to mix those two chemicals, break it some more. Did you hear the click? So I broke the little glass vial. That's why you don't cut these things open. There's tiny shards of glass in here, and it's kind of hard to see. I've got light over on this side, but I'll hold it up like this. You can see how it's glowing beautifully. And this will glow for several hours. If you want your glow sticks to last longer, you put them in the refrigerator or the freezer, because chemical reactions happen more slowly in colder temperatures. And so this is a chemical reaction going on that creates light with two chemicals being mixed together. But what's interesting about this light is it's a cool light. If I have a lamp here, which we're going to use in a minute, but this lamp has one of those old regular incandescent light bulbs. When those are lit, they get hot, right? That's heat. Oftentimes, like fire is light and heat together. And so if bioluminescent organisms created light that produced heat, their bodies would burn up and they wouldn't survive. So this is a cool type of light, which is very fascinating that these organisms can do. And so we have learned what those chemicals are, and we've mimicked those chemicals in glow sticks so we can have fun with these guys. But why do organisms bioluminesce? There's lots of reasons why they will create their own glowing, their bioluminescence. One is to be able to hunt. And so this is a very familiar organism. This guy right here, if you've never seen one of these, is a Deepsea Anglerfish. And notice at the top he has a dorsal spine, and at the very top of that spine is a little glowing group of cells that will create bioluminescence. And he uses it like a fishing wire, okay? So that glowing spot is something that attracts small organisms to it. They think it might be a tiny bioluminescent planktonic organism, and so they come up to try to take a bite of that or to eat it, not realizing that there's a gaping mouth below ready to grab. And so you can see he's more mouth than he is body. Most deep sea organisms are, because they want to be able to catch whatever they can catch, and they've got sharp pointy teeth to grasp and swallow whatever they can get. And so he is using that to hunt. That's why he's called an anglerfish, deep sea anglerfish. If you're familiar with Finding Nemo, you've seen deep sea anglerfishes, right? They were made famous, of course, by that fun movie. We're going to make a deep sea anglerfish at the end of this. So I have some materials we can put together our own model of a deep sea anglerfish, which uses bioluminescence. Now, the reason why they have to glow under where they live is because they live in the deep ocean. Light doesn't penetrate water very well, and so it can only go to about 200 feet, depending on how clear the water is. And so way down in the depths where these guys live, it's very, very dark, and so they can't see well. And one of the reasons they glow is to hunt. Another one they glow, or the reason they glow, is to ward off predators. Now, this is a lanternfish. You can see right here, this guy. He's in a container, a clear plastic container, and he has spots on his body to glow, and it's kind of like a car alarm in the deep sea. So when they feel threatened, they will start to glow like, this is an emergency, and that draws the attention of lots of other animals in the area, which hopefully will cause confusion or distract the predator that's coming after him. So they'll do it as a means to ward off predators. They'll also do it as a means to find one another. So when other organisms of the same species see them, then they will know to come together to be able to find each other. And then they also use it for camouflage. Now, this is an image, a little bit harder to see, of a deep sea squid that has pockets of, they're called photophores, that bioluminesce, that actually can glow. And it breaks up their silhouette. So it's hard for a predator to know which end to aim at or where to go. And so we're gonna do an example and show you what I mean by that. So I have my lamp, and you can do this at home, it's kind of fun. I put already, before you turn the lamp on, you need to do this, because I have an incandescent light bulb, it's gonna get hot. If you have a LED bulb, it doesn't get hot, so you could maybe do it with that. But my bulb gets hot, so I don't want to do this while the light is on. What I've done already is I've taped on just the inside of my lamp. I have taped one image of a squid, and I cut it out of cardstock, and I punched a bunch of holes in it. So when you see light coming through those holes, then it breaks up the silhouette, and it's harder for a predator to see what they're looking at. Is it a big animal? Is it a small animal? Is it something that's gonna eat me? And so I did the same thing with this fish. This is kind of the photophores, let's go this way, the deep sea lanternfish. And so I'm gonna stick him on the inside of the lamp, and I'm gonna just tape him to the inside of the lamp shade, just like I did with the squid. All right. If you are using, this is another safety caveat, if you are using a lamp that has an incandescent light bulb that gets hot, you do this before you turn on the lamp, and then turn the lamp off. Don't leave the paper next to that bulb, okay? I want you guys to do this and be safe. All right, so we have our two animals stuck against the inside of our lampshade. I'm gonna turn it on, and let's see if we can get you guys to see. Oh, the bar is in the way of that one, but look at this guy. All right, can you see how the spots kind of break up the silhouette of this one? Let me move my fish. I think I put the fish where a bar is, so support of my lampshade. I carefully move him over. There we go. And now you can see how it kind of that mimics the glowing, right? This guy's even cooler though. So it's hard for an organism to tell. Let me turn that off. It's hard for an organism to tell what it's chasing when the prey starts to glow like that. And so that's another reason, is for camouflage. Camouflage looks very different on land, doesn't it, as compared to the sea? But this is how they camouflage. They break up their silhouette using that bioluminescence. All right, and so now what we're gonna do is I wanna make a fun little craft. I'd like to try to do some kind of activity that we can incorporate into the day. maybe you don't even care about what I'm talking about, but you want to have something for the kids to play with or to do. So we're going to make our own deep sea anglerfish, and I'm using one of my favorite things that I have around the house, egg carton containers. And so I've got two, and I picked two that have, this is from the edge of the egg carton. There's a flat spot, and this is a flat spot. So I cut them out so that there's two flat spots, so I can put those flat spots together, and this is going to be his body. Remember, this is what we're going for. Let me see if I can, there we go. We're going for something like this, okay? And so what I'm gonna do before I put his mouth together, I wanna give him some teeth. And so I have just some regular paper that I cut out teeth out of for the top and the bottom. You could use cardstock, you can use paper, you can use whatever you have. Again, this is so we can do activities without having to go to the store, using what we have around the house. And maybe this might help us use up some of those stashes of things. When my kids were little, I kept a box full of all kinds of they called it the mommy box. I think it was kind of a play on Barney, because Barney had something called the Barney bag. I don't know. But whatever we had, pipe cleaners and empty cartons of things and doodads, beads, stickers, I would put them in that box. And so when they wanted to make something, they had just a bunch of craft materials to pull from. And so I don't know if you guys have a stash of that kind of stuff or not, but there we go, look at that. Oh, that looks pretty formidable. Okay, and so I'm going to take these two ends and stick them together with some tape. I'm using regular cellophane tape. You could use masking tape, whatever you have. You could use, if you use hot glue to close these things, they're not gonna be hinged, and so his mouth isn't gonna open and close. All right, so let me hinge him really well here. I'm gonna put one on the inside too, just to make sure it stays in position. And then we need to give him some fins and an eye. So I went ahead and took a sheet of paper, folded it in half, and cut out this, just like a Y shape almost, or a funnel shape. And I'm gonna take the funnel shape pieces, see if you can see it against, there we go, and folded them out like that, so that I can tape it to the back, just like this. Okay, so I'll show you as I'm holding it. I get some tape. You can tape one tab on it. Those little edges become tabs. Let's see, that one. So you can see what I'm doing. I'm using the tabs and sticking them on like this so that we can give him a tail. Remember that fish tails are oriented dorsoventrally, like sharks and other fish, whereas marine mammal tails are oriented horizontally, right? Okay, so we have to make sure our tail's oriented right. We can even give him some fins. I've got some permanent marker. That's not gonna work. Let me see, black probably will work. Let me try my black. And we gotta give him an eye too. There you go, look at that guy. Give him an eye. Usually deep sea organisms have somewhat larger eyes, again, because light is very, very it's hard to see. But the deeper you go in the ocean, then they have smaller eyes because there is no light that penetrates. So you can see I've given him a little fin, I've given him a tail. The next thing is the most important part. We're gonna give him something from which to angle. We need to give him a spine. And so I'm gonna take a spine, I think about this big. I would say, how much is this? Maybe 1, 2, 3, 4 inches, 3.5, 4 inches. Okay, and then I'm going to stick it into his forehead area, and then we need to bend it down. Actually, I'm gonna try this. I'm gonna roll it up into a little ball, kind of like that, and then stick it up through, now that I made the hole. There we go. There you go. So now I wanna put a little group of cells that he can bioluminesce from. So if you have a bead, even a pony bead, or you could even use a wadded up piece of paper, but I have a little bead right here. I'm just gonna stick it on, and just in a little bit, I'm gonna bend the pipe cleaner down and just roll it to anchor it in place. Let's curve it a little bit, and we have a very formidable creature. I think I'm gonna see if I can tape this on because it's wanting to wobble. Let's get that taped in place. There we go. Now, look at that monster. All right, you can see how he is kind of scary looking. Actually, that's just the way he looks. He can't control the way his teeth looks. That's just his teeth, but they're for a purpose. He's designed to live in the deep ocean, and he has the features that work for him to catch the food that he needs. So studying organisms that are from the deep sea are fascinating. They're very unlike land organisms that we know of, and it's interesting to see how their body is made to survive in those environments. And so this is our deep sea anglerfish. He bioluminesces. He creates light that is a cool light, not hot light. And he is one of many organisms. Now, he uses his bioluminescence to hunt. Remember, there's lots of other reasons that organisms will bioluminesce. But we'll continue our discussion of organisms in the ocean tomorrow. Haven't really thought about which ones we're going to talk about. There's so many, but we'll do something fun. I'll come up with a fun craft we can do as well, or an activity, and maybe we'll come up with a list of things we've learned. If you want to continue the education part of this, there's vocabulary words you can pull from this. Bioluminescence is one. There's many others throughout the things that we've talked about to come up with what make it more of a well-rounded educational theme. So thanks for joining me. Again, my name is Sherry Seligson. I'm an Apology of Science author, and I produce and write, and I'm in the video instruction courses that we have that accompany our middle and high school courses. So I love to talk about science. I love to talk about how we see God in science, and I love to learn about all the great organisms in creation. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. Let me know if you have any questions. Go ahead and leave a comment below. I'd be happy to answer those. And thanks for joining me. I will see you again this time tomorrow.